on this episode of the Grannies.
I'm 86, and I happen to remember the war, but we've all lived through harder times than this.
So if your grandson comes to you tomorrow and it's like, Mom, Grandma, I'm scared I'm going to get drafted. How are you going to feel? And obviously you're not going to be like,
I don't know what I'm going to do. But there's no draft yet, and that would have to go through that could not happen without the Congress agreeing. No, I think so. I think the doom scrolling is not good for you, honey.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
We shall overcome someday.
Welcome to the Grannies, everyone. A podcast where we honor the women whose stories have shaped generations. I'm your host, Adeshewa Josh, and I'm so excited to begin this journey of legacy, memory, and healing with one of the most extraordinary grandmothers I know.
Oh, thank you. I'm Jane Isay, author, grandmother, and lifelong listener to Family Secrets and to Family Wisdom. I'm thrilled to be on this journey with Adeshewa as we create a space where older women, especially grandmothers, can speak openly about what they've lived, what they've learned, and how they hope to leave a wonderful legacy behind.
Well, we believe that sharing these stories can heal families, inspire communities, and remind us that aging is not decline, it's death. So we invite you to join us on this beautiful journey. Hello. Well. How are you? Can I get a hug?
Couldn't be better. Better with a hug from you, honey.
Yes. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Grannies podcast. I am Adeshewa Josh.
And I'm Jane Isay.
And listen, we have a whole lot in store for you today. But before I tell you about it, I would like to quickly tell you 3 things that your support so far, your followership, your subscribership, if there's anything like that, has done for us. It has unlocked 3 major milestones for the Grannies podcast. Are we ready? Do you want a drum roll? Okay, so again, I would like to say thank you to everyone who is already following our show on Spotify, or any other platform on which you've been watching and listening to us. We have the milestone of 1,000 followers to reach by mid-year. Is that too ambitious?
No.
I think we can do it. We need 1,000 followers. So tell your friend, tell your dog, tell your cat, tell your enemy.
Bird, tell your birds.
Just go on Spotify and click follow.
Click.
So listen, okay. So I'll tell you about the milestones. Spotify has unlocked the chapters feature for the Grannies. This is what that means. It means that it will help new people find us on that platform very easily and also help them know what we're about in seconds. So, isn't that wonderful?
Fabulous.
That,
fabulous.
You get on the platform and you can see the chapters which we talk about. And it doesn't happen when you start the podcast, no. So they're going to be transcribing, they're going to be doing all of that. Aren't we lucky? No, we're not lucky, we're hardworking.
We're good.
Would you like to read the second milestone right here?
Oh, we've also got the Apple Podcast rankings list.
Yes.
Now, we're number 182.
Yes.
In the category.
Relationship in the United States.
How big is the category?
Okay, so I don't know how big the category is. That is a very good question. But for me, that we're even ranked at all.
Yes.
That we're even listed at all.
It's fabulous.
It's
we're
fabulous
so new.
To me. We're new. I mean, this is this is our 5th episode. And somebody is like, keep an eye on that content. I think they're going somewhere. This is great. And also in Canada, we're number 216 in the same category, relationship. Listen, one day we're going to come on this platform and be like, we're number 10 worldwide. And that would make us really happy. And now, the last but not the least, the Grannies podcast another drum roll, has been picked up by the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, proudly and popularly known as MNN. Woo! So, okay, you don't know what that means. Let me explain to you. The Manhattan Neighborhood Network is the largest cablecaster of original video programming in the United States and reaches over 20 million households nationwide. This is what this means. That if you think watching us on Spotify is a little bit stressful for you, well, you can just lounge on your couch at home and find a cup of coffee, and you can tune into Spectrum 34 of Fios 33, RCN 82, and watch us starting this Sunday, March the 15th, 2026. Can you believe
Can't
that?
believe it. It's impossible.
We're on TV nationwide on cable. This is interesting. And for those of you who are outside America, because I see on our analytics that people from Belgium, the United Kingdom are also watching. You can watch on live stream. I will put, just check out the link on your screen. It is www.mnn.org/channels/MNN community. The channel to watch is MNN community on Spectrum 34, Fios 33, and RCN 82. That's a mouthful, isn't it?
Yes.
But I want us to take it all in. We started this conversation with the hopes that, bless you, storytelling about, bridging intergenerational gaps through the stories of grandparents would lead us to somewhere wholesome, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing. And we have so much more to give.
So, absolutely. Today, let's get to the topic of the day. On this episode, Granny Jane's going to take us down memory lane, as always.
Yes.
Only this time, she's going to tell us what it feels like to live in times of war. She will help us understand how living through World War II and all other internal conflicts in America, what that was like, right?
Yes. Also times of crisis, not just war.
Exactly, those conflicts. So we will try to navigate the anxiety that many grandparents are feeling right now as the Middle East is going up in flames. Hopefully the war comes to an end. For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, basically there is should I call it a war? It's a war going on between the United States, Israel, and Iran, and is spilling over to Bahrain, Qatar, Dubai. The entire Gulf is engulfed by so much fury and disagreement, and you already know what it is. It's affecting gas prices, and people are nervous about what that means for their daily lives and things like that. And we're asking how grandmothers are feeling right now. I'm asking, Granny Jane, are you okay?
I'm fine, and here's why.
You're fine.
I hate this. No, I hate this, but one of the things that I have done since things became so unsettled in this country is I have taken myself back 80 years and more to when I was a child during World War II. And I have also immersed myself in histories of 20th century America, because there have been many crises bigger than this that we've come through. And the question is how, what happens, and what makes this republic survive. And the more we know of the historical context, the less anxious we are, because we got through all of them. Every one of them. We're still here. And it wasn't clear, certainly in World War II, that we would be here. And during the McCarthy era, it wasn't certain that the Republic would survive. McCarthy was breaking down so many of the guardrails of democracy. And he was just a junior senator. He wasn't president. And he had the country running away from ourselves. So those are the two moments in my life. Also Watergate, also the civil rights movement. There's been a lot of conflict, and we all know it. I'm 86, and I happen to remember the war, but we've all lived through harder times than this, we grandmas. So, and we didn't know, one of the things that happens in our brains is World War II isn't so scary if you know we won it. Oh well. But if you didn't know who was going to win, it was scary. And that is where we are. We don't know where this country is going at the moment. And, my children, my grown children have said, Mom, don't watch the nightly news. Maybe you'll sleep better. They're not wrong.
But I want you said you're okay. Can you describe the feeling of okay? Because okay
The feeling of okay is, I get the newspaper in the morning, the New York Times paper. Okay means I look at the headlines and I turn the page. There's too much detail and I'll get overwhelmed. I am working every minute not to get overwhelmed and depressed, because I know that the way we save our country is by having hope and energy and doing what we can to make it right. That's how we have persevered. July 4th is 250 years. And this isn't the first time we've had trouble. And this isn't the first time we've had war. And I'm here to tell you, and I have some stories about my own childhood and others, I'm here to tell you that the worst thing we could do is to get so depressed we can't get out of bed in the morning, because we got to get out of bed. We got to do what we can do to help. We've got to, if we want to, there's a big protest on the 28th. You can write letters. There are all kinds of things you can do if you have the energy.
I was just I'm looking at you like, Granny, who are you? Your optimism is making me feel like you're living on another planet.
I am. It's Planet Jane. And
Am I invited?
You're here now. I have a very good friend with whom I Zoom every week for an hour and a half. She's a very distinguished journalist, spent her career at the New York Times. She's written many books, and she's so smart. And the two of us get together on Zoom, and we talk about what's going on, and we look for the moments of hope. And there's plenty going on. This country is not as downtrodden as it looks if you watch the news. And one of the problems with watching television is it's repetitious. They're trying to get our attention. Our brains are built to pay more attention to bad news than good news.
Yes,
So they want the audience bad news.
But what if somebody is actually going through that bad news, like the people who are getting bombed, the soldiers who have died in war?
It's terrible. Well, the best treatment for being sad is getting up and doing something.
Okay, let me roll this back a little bit more.
Yeah.
You lived through World War II.
Yes.
And a couple other madness in
Yes.
America. And you have, throughout that time, to all of the madness happening around the world, as you see tension rising now,
Yes.
does it bring back, of course it brings back memories.
May I tell
But you were a child who was shielded mostly from...
Yes, but let me tell you what I knew.
Okay.
I was 4 years old. We lived in Washington, D.C. My parents were both working in the government, so we had more access to what was going on in in the country and in the war than most people.
Yeah, because you were closer to the seat of power.
And my father was an assistant to the Surgeon General. So they had lots of sources for information. The major source for information about the war was the radio. No television. After dinner, we would sit in the living room, turn on the radio, and see how we were doing vis-a-vis Hitler. There were many people who had a map. We didn't have a map. And they would put push pins where the American troops were and where the Nazis were.
Right.
And they would move the push pins. We didn't know we were going to win. And it was scary. And also living in Washington, they had air raid sirens very often at night. You know, you're 4 years old and the sirens go off and you think the Germans may be bombing us. Mm-hmm. It's pretty scary. And what I did, we were told, if you hear the air raid sirens, pull down your blackout window shade. Mm-hmm. So in my room, I had a room in the attic in this building house we had rented. I would get up on the cabinet and I would pull the shade down. Oh, wow. Make sure it was all the way down so the Nazis couldn't see any light. And I also had a little Bo Peep painting, except it glowed in the dark. Do you know what I did when the sirens came? I'd take my little Bo Peep glow in the dark and put it facing the wall so the Nazis couldn't even see the glow from little Bo Peep.
So the house is not targeted and bombed.
That's right.
And nobody taught you to do that. You just knew you had to.
Well, I had a job. We all had a job.
You were 4. You had a job?
Okay, so here were the jobs. First of all, there was rationing, and that you didn't get in the car very often because there wasn't much gas. You didn't eat much sweet because there wasn't much sugar. Everything was controlled, number one.
Rationed.
Rationed. Number 2, they needed metal. And my brother and I collected the silver foil around the paper in cigarettes and around the paper in chewing gum. And we had a cigar box. This is a time. We collected the silver foil, and when the box got full, we took it wherever it went to donate it to the war effort.
Wait, you...
Well, that's where...
So you fought in the war, basically.
That's how
What regiment were you?
I was scared little girl regiment. And,
wow.
And our father did something that I don't know whether I would have had the courage to do it. By this time, I was 4.5, and my brother was 8.5. He would take us out of school early some afternoons, and he'd take us to the movie theater and see the newsreels of what was going on. That's the only way American citizens could see in picture form the war.
So would you then say that the fact that television amplifies, there's picture now, it makes it worse in terms of how you process what's going on out there? But it's showing you the real thing.
Yes, it is. But we saw many, many Nazis marching through cities of Europe, goose-stepping.
And in real life? Wait, you saw them?
Movies of in the newsreel, and to this day I can't go into a large crowd. I was traumatized.
So you can see what we are feeling.
Well, I know what you're feeling. So I don't go in big crowds. And when then the president died, FDR died on April 12th, 1945. I know the date. And we were in a supermarket and with my mother and my brother shopping for food. And a rumor went through the supermarket. And my mother, there were phones on the wall. My mother put her nickel in and called her friend in the White House and what was going on. And then she got off the phone, hung up and she turned around to us and her tears were running down her face. FDR had died. I thought it was the end of the world. What will happen now? This great man, he saved us, he's done all these things. He's the leader. Well, we went home, we had a very quiet dinner. And everybody was scared and sad. Now, at that age, I didn't go to school full time, and I would visit neighbor ladies. I'd come, a cute little girl, curly hair. Hello, how are you? And have coffee. I wouldn't have coffee. She'd have coffee, I'd have milk and cookies. Now, we knew one Republican. We were a family of Democrats. So I went to the Republican lady the next morning to see how happy she might be because the Democratic president had died. And we sat down, she said, "How are you, Janie?" And I said, "I'm very sad because FDR died yesterday. But you must be happy because you're a Republican." There was a pause. And then she said to me, "He was my president too." Now that was my first civics lesson. He was my president too. I thought, well. I knew that there were people who hated FDR, as there are people who hate politicians now. But here she said that, and I thought, okay, maybe it's all right. And that was so important to me because it meant that we were not as divided as I thought we were. Hello?
Even without watching TV back then, just the little you saw in the news, you thought the whole world was coming down.
During that era, the Republicans hated FDR so much, they called him that man. They wouldn't use his name. There was as much hatred of that man as there is now.
Of that man, yeah.
Yes, and never mind the racism. At that time, our country was totally segregated. So, and when the GI Bill of Rights happened, where the soldiers were coming home and were guaranteed a college education, guess who didn't qualify? The black soldiers. So don't tell me how wonderful it was. So that was, and then, and I've asked people, where were you when FDR died? People my age. And they said, I never saw my father cry before then. We were all so sad. And we were scared, and nobody knew how to help us because everybody was scared.
Where were you when World War II ended and when all of this
so we were in
wrapped?
Washington. Well, first of all, I have another story.
Tell me, tell us.
We went to a school, a private school in Washington that had been founded for the children of the New Deal. So it was very left-wing. And they had a summer camp. So schleppy, I have to tell you, because it was so hot in Washington, there was no air conditioning, and the people who worked in government worked 7 days a week. So we went to this camp. It had a creek. It had places for the boys and girls, and not much to do. And one night they called. We were so excited. They called a surprise celebration around the campfire. It was August 6th, 1945. And there was jubilation because we had dropped the A-bomb on Hiroshima.
And Nagasaki. That was a deadly one. We're still...
Now, my memory is so strange that I keep thinking maybe some people weren't so happy around the campfire. I don't know, but anyway, that meant the war was going to be over. And soon it was over, it was jubilation. And then by that time, Harry Truman was president. One of the other things I have to tell you, just to set the time frame. My brother, we lived on a street where we were friends with the neighbor kids, Alaska Avenue. And we had friends who were Christian Science, followers of Christian Science, don't believe in medicine. And the father got pneumonia. Now my father, because he was in the public health service, he could get, just when penicillin was discovered, he could get penicillin to help this man with pneumonia. And they refused because their religion doesn't take medicine. A couple of days later, I tell this story on myself, a couple of days later, a box arrived from our neighbors. And there was this beautiful silk bathrobe with a black collar for my father. So what did I say? I said, well, Daddy, you got a beautiful robe for letting this man die?
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, this was 3D 5-year-old. Didn't need television. I was so immersed in this. And it's mainly because my parents were involved in the government. So I had access to information that everybody has today. Very few people in my era had it, kids. My parents' closest friend in the government was Roosevelt's Jewish advisor, David Niles, and they talked about the concentration camps. I just didn't know what it meant.
Wow.
So I was a witness at 5, a witness to history. And it was scary, but what my parents gave us was the assurance that we'd be okay because we were loved. And because we were in the greatest country in the world and we had wonderful leaders and it was going to be okay.
Would you say that today?
No, but I would find another way to say it.
I was going to ask you though, I mean, watching all that is happening again, in the context of all that is happening, in the context of how you grew up through those wars and conflicts, how did families do back then to help each other stay strong?
Loved each other. The focus, it's a law. If you focus on world events, only on world events, and you don't have much to do else, you're going to be on the stormy sea of world events.
What if it is affecting you directly, like the price of gas, like how?
The price of gas? You walk. I have to tell you that.
I have been walking.
But during World War II, there was the New Deal, which helped people to keep from starving. But there was nothing like the wealth of the country that happened after the war and the great expansion of the middle class. The middle class was not doing as well as the middle class did from 45 to 70 or 80. And there was, people were used to not having much. That's another part of it. My parents lived through the Depression, the Great Depression. Do you think they'd really worry about sugar? My mother was a poor immigrant on the Lower East Side. They couldn't eat dinner until she got paid daily, and then she got a nickel or a quarter, and she would buy food and she would cook it when she got home after school, after work. So this country was not used to the kind of good times that are in our recent past. So my context helps me because I remember
when it used to be really bad.
And my brother was going to a very fancy school in Washington. They didn't have enough gas to drive him back and forth to school every day.
Wait, so we have any good now?
No, I'm saying we never had it that good.
When older people look at us now, complaining,
they're right.
You look at us like,
well,
I
really don't want to get into politics.
No. When you look at how, the complaints, when we say we're uncomfortable, when we say that things are just so bad, you go, well, it used to be worse. Is that what you...
So I'll tell you another story, and that's from the history books. When Woodrow Wilson got back to America after going to Versailles and making the treaty that ended World War I, by that time he'd had a series of strokes. He was president of Princeton, but he was not a very good guy, and he was a Southern racist. So after the war was over, at the time that he was elected president, the government workers were integrated. What did he do? He ended integration in the government, fired all the black people. There were riots where they burned black neighborhoods. When a socialist or a left-wing person was up on a pulpit making a sermon, send the police in and pull them away. I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying that happened and then it was over. So my philosophy is terrible, happened before. There's a good chance that the people of America will bring this bad time to an end.
Do you have an idea, a theory of how this is going to end?
I do.
Go on.
It's called, we have a new political theory called Neighbors. And again, in 1980, the right-wing Republicans organized communities from the bottom up. Library people, people in city government, and they gradually became the leaders, the right-wing leaders in America. Well, it's happening on the other side now. And you look at Minneapolis and what has happened there. People have organized, and they have the internet. So they are Zooming, and they are telling each other, ICE is here, get there. And people all over the country. Here, I know a couple of groups here in New York, one new and one old, meet every week on Zoom. Nobody sees them coming, nobody sees them going. They are looking at candidates who need, where $10 will help a candidate, you don't need $10,000. All over the country, organizing, raising money to help in this election in November and in the presidential election. We are organizing in ways that are astonishing, and it's Neighbors. If my best friend has a daughter who lives in Maine, and she's got people who work for her who are having trouble. On her way home, she drops off food packages to them. No big deal. In Minneapolis, you know, they have these homemade whistles that they blow whenever they see somebody who's ICE. In the Jewish tradition on Passover, you have a plate with all the symbols of the release from slavery. And we've added new symbols. So we have the bitter herbs for pain. We have all of these things. Many years ago, we added an orange for women. We added, I add just a piece of potato peel, because during the Holocaust, if you could get a couple of pieces of potato peel, you might live.
Really?
Yes. Because of the starvation.
Oh, wow.
So now I'm thinking on this Seder plate of putting a whistle. You can't keep us down. And also a lot of people are accustomed to a better country. And if we just sit around and we're sad, we're not going to be contributing, but there are a lot of people who are contributing to this, to a better country. They're making signs, they're going out. A lot of them are old. My generation used the sneakers they used when they marched in the civil rights movement, if they still have them. My line is, scratch a patriot and you'll find a protester. So
when we adults and younger people are racking up anxiety over what could happen, what the future is going to look like for us, you just simply say...
I don't sleep that well, but I sleep better than you do because I don't watch the scary news before I go to sleep. And if you don't have time to write postcards or make phone calls, you can write those postcards instead of watching the nightly news.
You know, this is bad advertisement for TV. For TV news. But I see a lot of sense in what you're saying, because I think if I were to summarize some of the wisdom in what you have shared in the last couple of minutes is, during World War II, the time that you grew up, you were young, one of the things that saved you in retrospect now, and your generation, was there was really no TV to absorb the minute by minute explosion.
That's right, and you didn't really have that until you had cable, because until cable, 24-hour news came, you had the news at 6 o'clock and at 11. That was all, and it was a half hour max.
We're digressing just a little bit, but I want us to talk about it. I think we're going into the root of why most of us are more anxious. I thought that the grandparents were going to be more anxious than us, but now I'm beginning to think that the grandparents are kind of chill and they're looking at us that don't worry about it, everything is going to be fine. In your time during World War II, you didn't have the visuals, the barrage of
only in the newsreels. But I have to tell you, I have learned that the newsreels in the movie theaters were the single most important conveyor of war news in America, because the masses went to the movies. Mm-hmm. Walt Disney, my father was in charge of information on health. Mm-hmm. He went out to Hollywood and he got Walt Disney to do a little 3-minute cartoon of how to get rid of the mosquitoes that give you malaria. And it was the 7 dwarfs marching to get rid of malaria. Disney did it for free, and the country, the government, they ran it. All the movie theaters. This was the only real entertainment at the time, was movies.
Right.
So it was the mass news medium.
Right. So, but now, you know what? I can get it on my phone, and I
can get it on your phone.
But essentially, if your grandkids come to you,
yes,
ideally we'll be like, Grandma, are you okay? Are you? And that's why I started this conversation with, are you okay? But I guess you're the one asking us now,
yes.
Are we okay?
Yes, because I've been through it.
So this is honestly, I came into this conversation hoping that, we can encourage grannies to say the world is not about to finish up itself and burn itself down, but I guess this episode is for me and
it's for
the
you.
Grandkids.
Yes, it's for you. And the bottom line on all of this is, who do you love? If we can't control what school we're going to bomb next.
Oh God, no.
But we can control how we love and how we are loved. Our families. The last outpost of love is family. So, when I was a little girl, again in World War II, my parents were busy working. They were both working for the government. I had these aunts, my mother's 3 sisters, and they were full of love. They were so much fun. I couldn't worry about the war when I was with my aunts. We were having a wonderful time, and they were so happy to be with me and my brother. You can make a world of love with the people you care about. And that will give you, it's not like you're ignoring. You're not ignoring.
That's not what we're doing?
No, okay. You're saying, what gives me the strength and energy to keep on going in hard times?
Give me an example of what parents told their kids and their adults. Well,
we don't know, they said. My parents said, it's going to be okay. We won in World War I. We are a great country. And we have Europe on our side, except for France.
We don't have Europe this time around.
No, but this is the scale of this is not the same as World War II.
Yeah. So do you think we're going to win this time?
I don't know. I have no idea. But what I do know is that we're going to have an election in November. Well, it looks as if everybody goes out and votes. For this last presidential election, people didn't bother. They didn't like her laugh, and they stayed home. This time, I think those people are not going to stay home. We'll see what happens. But there are so many different pluses and minuses, ups and downs, and I hope for the best. And if I didn't hope for the best, I wouldn't be talking to you.
I was just about to say that, and okay. Have you seen, just 2 days ago, 2,500 Marines were sent to Iran?
Yes.
And there are rumors it is unconfirmed, this is allegedly, that if this is not wrapped up as easily as, the government is saying it would be, that there could be some kind of drafting.
Well, but that, yes.
It's all allegedly, but people are beginning to talk about, okay, worst case scenario. I know we've been very optimistic, but if we turn around to the worst case scenario,
here's what's going to happen.
What are you thinking as a grandparent?
As a grandparent.
When you think of the worst case scenario, this blows up, there is drafting.
My oldest grandson is graduating from college in 2 months. He's draft material.
Okay. So how are you feeling? Describe your feeling.
I feel terrible, but I also know that there are all kinds of guardrails about a draft. This president went to war without permission of anybody.
Sorry, can I quickly ask you, when you were growing up, did you know anyone who was drafted who never came home? And how you felt about it? Like, did you know neighbors?
No, I didn't. But my uncle was in Europe. My Aunt Bertie's boyfriend was in Europe, a soldier. And we worried about him all the time. I have a friend who just got home today from Israel. She's been there with her kids for 2 weeks. She was living in a bomb shelter.
What? The feeling of that, can you?
It's terrible.
All of you, your generation, you guys are so strong. Like, did you guys let yourself feel despair? Did you feel those things, or did you just block out the entire feeling?
No.
Like, we're gonna win, we're just gonna match her, and this country is gonna be better. You just stayed positive all through?
No, I was scared. When I would see the newsreels of the Nazis goose-stepping through European cities.
Goose-stepping, okay.
I had nightmares. I was scared.
But you didn't stay scared.
What happened was, it worked out okay.
But you didn't
for
know.
my family.
Nobody knew things were going to be okay, but...
No, and here's the deal. We don't know, which is why I go back in history to remind myself that there have been many times when it was okay. I don't need to know the history. I need to be reassured that there's a possibility this is going to be okay.
So if your grandson comes to you tomorrow and he's like, Mom, Grandma, I'm scared I'm going to get drafted. How are you going to feel? And obviously, you're not going to be like,
And I don't know what I'm going to do. But there's no draft yet, and that would have to go through that could not happen without the Congress agreeing. No, I think so.
Under this.
Well, remember there's an election
in November.
And I think the doom scrolling is not good for you, honey.
I certainly know.
And this is a time, as far as I'm concerned, I just assume the grandchildren play Minecraft instead of watching the news.
Okay, you would vote for Minecraft
over the news? Yeah, absolutely. I want to tell you a couple of other stories about my life and American history.
Go on.
So, in 1948, Joe McCarthy rose to power in the Senate, and he was looking for communists. He was also looking for gay men, because if you were shown to be gay and you worked in the government, you were fired. And he came to he made speeches, he had lists of communists. He was after the Jews, he was after the gays, and he was after power. And he got the universities, all the major universities all over America, to make their faculty sign a loyalty oath. Did you know that? Yeah. And school teachers were fired, especially in New York, because there were a lot of liberals in New York, fired by the dozens because of their ideas. Now remember, we have a First Amendment, you're allowed to, no. And he was taking the country apart. And we kept saying, who's going to stand up to him? What's going to happen? My parents knew a lot of people in the theater in Broadway. And they would come to my mother, who was a psychologist, for advice. They would get this telegram from the Un-American Activities Committee that they had to come and testify. And the question was, who of your friends are communists? And if you said, I refuse to answer, you might go to jail.
Wow.
So they would come to my mother to say, what do I tell my children if I have to go to jail because of McCarthy? I mean, so that was then. And then he went after the army, looking for communists in the army. By that time, Dwight Eisenhower was president and he had been supreme commander. So he took care of his army people, and there was this famous hearing where McCarthy went after a gay man, insinuating, he was a lawyer for the army, insinuating that he was somewhat kind of a pansy. And that's when the famous Joseph Welch said to him, "Have you no sense of decency, sir?" And that was a sentence that ended McCarthy. I happened to see it on television live because I rushed home to see the hearings. One last story.
Maybe not the last one. I have a few more questions.
Of course, but I'll end with that story. Let's do some more questions.
Sure, you
I want to tell the story.
Yeah, tell the story.
So, my family was very much involved in the civil rights movement. And my mother was a psychologist who was known. She wrote a column for the New York Post. When Medgar Evers was murdered, the chairman of the board of the NAACP, Gloucester Current, called my mother and said, "Dr. Rose, what should we do for the family?" He was the first worker who'd been murdered in the South. So she said, fly Murley and the children up to New York. I want to meet them. They brought them up. And she met them. And she cut a very good deal for Murley and the kids. The NAACP agreed to pay all of their expenses. They got married when she was a junior in college, sophomore. All of her education through whatever graduate degree, and pay for all of the expenses of the children.
That's wonderful.
And my parents would go visit them in California. By this time, they had moved to California and I was married living in New Haven. They were in New York one Passover. And they came to our Seder, Murley and the children. And it's about freedom. It's the same story. It's the story of slavery and freedom. And at the end of Seder, we generally stand up and sing, "God Bless America." This year, when the Evers family, we sang, "We Shall Overcome."
Oh. I think we should end the show with "We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday." When is the day gonna come?
Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. And that is a song, and that is a prayer, and that is a prediction.
Granny Jane, you better listen to Granny Jane. So everything is gonna be all right, Granny Jane, right?
It's gonna be hard, and it's not gonna be easy, and nobody's gonna give it to us. We're gonna have to participate in the election. We're gonna have to participate in politics. We're gonna have to put our bodies where our mouth, I don't even know that I'm mixing metaphors.
I think you just put your mouth where your money is.
Yes.
Okay.
And many of us have done it in the civil rights movement, in all kinds of protests during the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. I mean, this country, we would not be in the good place we are at if it were not for the protesters. So don't tell me it's hopeless. Don't be helpless.
Okay. Well, that's taken. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the ride with us. Jane and I would like to hear from you. please send your comments to thegrannies.podcast@gmail.com. thegrannies.podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to the Grannies podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast.